This Hangout is brought to you by Applied Software's Construction Technology Group. CTG is the premier construction systems integrator in North America. My name is Elisa Bowman and I am delighted to be your moderator today. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. Please take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat pane. We'd like to know more about you, what kind of projects you're on, or anything else you'd like to share with us. This Hangout is being recorded and will be available to you on our YouTube channel. We will also send you an email following the webinar with a link to this recording. If you'd like to learn more about our training programs we offer, visit our website at www.asti.com/live lab learning. And if you haven't already, search Applied Software on Facebook and Twitter and follow us to receive the latest information and special offers. On our website, you'll find the latest schedule of upcoming events, webinars, trainings, and more. Next week, we have webinars scheduled. First, we'll have BIM requirements from owners, a case study on Tuesday at 12:30. Wednesday, we'll feature the Hilti button for Fire Stop. And on Thursday, we'll have an October Fab Hangout. All of these webinars begin at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, and they last till 1:30. Our BIM and Beer event will be held next month in Charlotte, just after the election, on November 9th at the Sugar Creek Brewing Company. That'll begin at 5:30 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. At the conclusion of this Hangout today, a survey will pop up. Please complete the survey to be entered into a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. Our presenter today is Josh Walker. He's a Senior Implementation Specialist at Beck Technology. Josh holds a Bachelor's in Construction Engineering Technology from the University of Southern Mississippi. Josh worked in the industry for a major general contractor before joining us at Applied Software as our Senior Application Specialist. While at Yates Construction, he was responsible for successfully implementing Destini Profiler as a standard for the company. Fun fact, Josh is also a die-hard CrossFit enthusiast. Please join me in welcoming Josh Walker.
Thank you for the kind introduction. As Alicia said, I'm Josh Walker and I'll be the host or walking through the presentation today. So just for a quick overview on our presentation, let's go over the goals for today's webinar. The goals for today are we are going to create a Destini Profiler model. We're going to transfer that estimate to Destini Estimator, and then we're going to update our conceptual estimate using 2D and 3D takeoff, and then to finish, we will compare our estimates. So to get started, let me introduce Beck Technology. Beck Technology makes two products. Our first product that we make is Destini Profiler, and Profiler is going to live in the conceptual and schematic phase of a project. It is going to be a macro BIM solution. It will allow the end user to very easily create a 3D cost model and then apply historical cost information to that model. The second product that we make is Destini Estimator, and Destini Estimator is going to be a full MC² Timberline Excel replacement with the unique features that it will allow you to do or perform 2D and 3D takeoff within the program. So let's get started. And just for an overview of how today's webinar will go, there's going to be a total of 4 videos. And before each video, we will go over a slide on what's going to happen in the video. So in this first one, we're going to go and open up a Destini Profiler, that schematic tool. We're going to import the site so that we can have some topography information using Google Earth. Then we're going to import a PDF like an owner may send, if you're working on a conceptual project. Once we've imported that PDF, we will use it to model a building off of. Once we've created that building, we'll add some cladding to it, and then we'll run an energy analysis to show you how you could look at some return on investments for high energy efficiency units and things like that, as long as some glass coatings, whatever, or different sites for the rotation of the building on that site. So this is Destini Profiler's home screen. We're going to start by creating a new project. We'll call it example project. Say the client is Beck Technology. We'll put in its address, city, and state, and we'll give it a zip code. So then we'll hit finish. Give it just a moment. And here we are at our start screen. So a thing I always like to do is we're going to make the grid larger. It will allow us to, once we import our site, to make sure all of it stays on our grid. So we will begin by going to the terrain system and the topography. You could bring in a DWG if you had that, but we're going to use Google Earth. So Google Earth is automatically going to fly into the address that we gave it. And then once we've given it, once we're in, we can zoom in, and the program will import all of the site that is currently shown on our screen. So once we come back to Profiler, now we have all of that information. Currently it's being shown in a 2D view with topography lines. You can change it to contour though, and very easily see that we do have quite a slope on our site. Next step that we're going to take is we're going to define our site within the program using the site boundary feature. And what this is doing is it is allowing us to tell the program where we want the cut and fill analysis to be performed. So now that we have outlined our site, it's starting to upgrade the topography of our site. And we're going to go and turn off a little blue flag. The blue flag is a control point, and it'll just get in the way of our future modeling here in the moment. So our next thing that we're going to do is, now we're going to import a PDF. So we're going to scroll down, get to our building window, go back up. We're going to import an image. Once we select the PDF that we want to bring in, it'll bring us to this window where we will scale the PDF. And I did cut this PDF out of another one, so you're just going to have to trust me on the scale, but I'll show it to you later in a different video that the scale is correct. That's a 200-foot distance, so we'll put that in, and now the PDF will be scaled correctly. We'll import it, we'll rotate it to where the PDF is where we want it to be, place it on our site, and now we'll use that as a boundary for the model that we're going to create. So now we'll go and we'll go along the exterior of the building. And once we'll come in, last little portion, then we'll close our building. And now we'll give it height. For our example, we're going to say it's 43 feet. Our next phase will be to add grid lines, and the easiest way to think of a grid line is that each time you add a grid line, you're adding a slab. So we'll start with our first floor, then we'll give it our roof with a little room to put a parapet on there if we choose to, and then we'll just say we want to have 4 floors. So the program will add in the remaining floors. So now we have 4 floors and our roof slab. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it exterior skin. You can apply materials individually to the exterior, but for today's example, we're going to use a pattern. There are different patterns you can select from, or you can create one. We're just going to go with one that the program already provides us with. We're going to use the paint bucket as our tool, which means that it's going to fill the entire face that we are selecting with that pattern. So we'll work our way around the building, making sure that we don't miss any portions of it. And as I said, the other tools on that upper toolbar, you can draw squares, parallelograms, individual shapes, so you could apply the cladding or the material in any way that you would like for your specific need on the project that you're working on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at it back in that contour view we looked at it earlier. Since we've drawn our building on the site, it has performed the cut and fill analysis for us on that building, filling where it needed to and cutting where it needed to as well. We'll look at that using the cut and fill map, red being cut, blue being fill. The way the program calculates this is it finds the centroid of the building and says that that is going to be grade, and it cuts and fills to all the surrounding soils to that height. So now, since we had a database running on the program, which we will help you set up if you choose to go with the program, we've had a series of line items running behind the scenes without us having to do anything based on formulas and unit costs. So we had them for our overall massing. We also have them running for our slabs, and you can run your costs on anything that you would like to. And a great thing about the program is that you can easily update it. It'll update our 210,000 as long as our 459. We'll hit enter. And now those costs are automatically updated. As you can see, the cladding that we apply to the exterior of the building, our precast, has the line items in it as well. Our site also has line items just based on how you keep your historical cost information. Here's the soil though. So we can see our cut and fill volume, but it doesn't have any costs associated with it. The reason is we had not given the soil types any cost for their cut and fill. So for an example of how you'd add a line item, we're going to go to our soils. We'll best fit those columns so that we can see everything. And we're going to click on and go add a line item. So we don't need an assembly. We're going to click on our line items, go to site work, site preparation, and select fill cut. So now we have given a line item to our select fill cut, and it's our default soil, so it's being used in our cut and fill analysis. And now we're going to give it a fill cost. So now we can see that line item, its volume is its formula, and we had $12.50 for its unit cost. So now when we go back, you can see we have that formula, our unit cost, and it's giving us a total amount that is costing. And here's our estimate view. This is a summary of all the line items. We can see our total costs after running or creating our building. What we're going to go to now is energy analysis. This energy analysis is using eQuest in the background, so you can export it to eQuest for your energy analysis. And just like before, all the options for utility rates, customer charges can quickly be edited. You can choose to use or not to use daylighting. It'll ask you when the building is open. So if you wanted to be open on Saturdays, you'll say from 10 to 3. We don't really want to miss one college football game on our Saturdays. We're not willing to give up any more. We can heat water different ways. We can heat and cool the building in different ways. And have end uses if we need to add extra motors, self-contained refrigeration, things like that. So once we've accomplished that, we'll run the analysis. It'll start initializing itself automatically. It'll start to collect the information that it needs. It'll perform load calculations so we can know how much tonnage we need for our AC unit. And then our mechanical view will have all of that information. So now that we've clicked on it, we can see how much natural gas versus how much electricity we're using on a monthly basis. We can see the total cost for our HVAC, its peak tonnage, kilowatts, number of years we want to run it for. Then you can come down and see which tasks are consuming your electricity and which tasks are consuming natural gas. And you can also see it in an annual perspective as well. And since we updated that and got a more detailed view from just our schematic line item formulas, we can now see that the cost is updated as well. And now we've created a quick profiler model with cut and fill and energy analysis. So what are we going to do next? From here, in our next video, we're going to move from Destini Profiler to Destini Estimator. We're move from that conceptual tool to our more detailed tool so we can update and move forward with that estimate. Before we export it though, we are going to go over the cost reporting that Profiler has internally. So here we are, back where we left off in our estimate. We're going to go to Reports, Custom Work Breakdown Report. And this is a report that's automatically created by the program. We can see our report breakdown is currently set up for Uniformat Level 1 and Uniformat Level 2 over here on the left. We're getting our first page is going to be a summary page. We can change the name and the number, so we'll call it Beck Technology Estimate. And we'll call it estimate number 001. Then just hit submit, and our report's updated. So as you go down, based on those work breakdown structures that you have given it, it will break down the estimate. So we can see B20, or B10, excuse me, its line items, B20, its line items, B30, and then we get a total overall cost for our shell and its cost per area. It will do this for all of our Uniformat line items, and you can change those to any work breakdown structure that you have running in your database. So here at the bottom we see that our total direct comes to 104.21, and that's the 104.21 we have on our first page. That profiler logo can be very easily changed to the logo of your company. And now all we'd have to do is, if we were going to go into a meeting with the owner, print those, and we'd have a great summary report of what was going on in our model. So now we're going to export to Profiler. We're going to save this estimate. We'll call it Beck Technology Profiler Estimate. Now we'll open up Destini Estimator. Once we have Destini Estimator open, it's its home page, create a new estimate, but we are going to open up our existing one. And now we have all those line items and information into our detailed estimating software, sorted the way we originally had it, and ready to update. So for our next video, this is where we're going to use the 2D and 3D takeoff. So we are very proud to say that we are the only company that makes a estimate software or data management software with built-in 2D and 3D takeoff. We're going to go through, in the first part of the video, we're going to go over just some quick filtering so you can see what it would be like to use the program. Then after that, we're going to create a work breakdown structure so that we can sort which line items we have come from Profiler, and then which line items we're going to update from our 2D and 3D takeoff from Estimator. And then we'll be able to go back and look at which line items we're going to keep and which line items we're going to delete as we would move forward in the estimation process. So this is an overview of just all of the line items and columns that come when you open up an estimate in Estimator. You can sort by any of the columns by just clicking on them. So we're going to save this layout, and this is going to be our standard layout. Excuse me. Standard view. And now all you have to do is drag any columns that you don't want to be there off, and they'll be deleted. The estimate is still storing all of that information. They're just the columns represent work breakdown structures within your database. Currently, the database we're using for this example only has unit format. So we'll get rid of the ones we don't want. I like to have my unit format before I get to my unit cost, just so I can see the line items I'm working with. And we'll best fit all the columns so all the columns have the correct amount of room. So we will save this view as well. And the benefit of being able to save views is that a little later on in the video, you'll be able to recall each one of these views very easily, so that if you want to see things differently while you're working on different parts of your estimate, you can do that. You can also change the color. So this is your aggregate cost, the money column. So if you want it to be green with white font, you can change it to green with white font. The thing we're going to do next is here is a way to group the line items. So now they'll all be sorted by level, unit format level 1 and unit format level 2. And as you click down, you can see the line items for each department of unit format level 2. A lot of estimators, though, want to be able to, if they're looking at things in kind of a high-level summary view, want to be able to see a cost for each breakdown. So we'll go to our aggregate cost. We'll say we want the sum. We'll change how it's presented. Currently, we don't need the prefix of sum of total is. We know that we're running a sum. We'll change the display. I like to have a dollar sign. So we'll have a dollar sign and make sure we have decimal place as well. We can see our example updated, and we'll click OK. A way some people use this is they'll create division, and if you're using CSI, and then a bid package, so you can quickly look over, you know, what is division 9 worth, what's division 9A worth, 9B, and we'll save this layout view as unit format level 2. With summary. So now we can go back, look at our standard view, and we're right back to it with all that information, and go back to unit format level 3 very easily. And once you group by line items, you don't have to go down to each folder individually and click. You can do a full expand and full collapse. So we're going to go back to our unit format level 3. Now we're going to go over the second way to filter in the program. So this is the filter tree. And you have the ability down at the bottom to show direct and total. So if you wanted to, just work with your direct cost, you could turn off the total cost very easily. So here now we can see that we're just looking at the cost for our substructure. We can go to services, see that we have $8 million total cost for services. See that D10 is worth $250,000. Our HVAC is worth $3 million. I apologize for that. Windows thought I needed to update my color settings. And just like before, we can save here as well. So we'll have this as unit format level 2. And this gear represents the work breakdowns that you have. Within the program, you can create an infinite number of work breakdown structures, and the database will support it. And each work breakdown structure itself can have as many values as you would like. So now we'll say this is unit format level 3. And we can change back to level 2 very easily. So now we're going to go to all items, and we're going to create a work breakdown structure. So if there's a structure you want to add while you're working on an estimate, you can do that very easily. We're going to call our source, and we're going to add 2 values, Our first one is going to be Profiler. And our second one is going to be Estimator, so that we can see, where those line items, where did this line item come from? Is it updated based on the drawings or model we got, or are we still using our conceptual estimate in this area? So now we'll select all our line items knowing that we haven't done any takeoff, and they're all from Profiler. We'll modify. We will go down to Source, and we'll give them Profiler. So now when we scroll to the right, we can see they all have their source. So now we'll get rid of our filter and we'll move on to Takeoff. We'll load in a model, and models is where you will load in both 2D and 3D takeoff. So we'll start with 2D. And there is our floor plan that we used in Profiler. So we're going to go scale the page. Go to our graphic scale. Click 2 points. Tell it that it's 60 feet. Now we're going to come perform some 2D takeoff. First thing that we're going to do, we're going to have an area takeoff. It'll have a feel like Bluebeam and on-screen while you're performing takeoff. Click your points. We will take off room S as well. And finally, we'll take off 2B. Once we've completed excuse me, the takeoff on these rooms, we'll hit Enter to close the takeoff, and then Escape to select them. So we can select and we'll be stopped performing takeoff. So let's select 1B and at room S, so that they have the same flooring. We'll add a line item. And we'll just use the find feature instead of going down through our filter tree. We'll search for tile. We use ceramic floor tile. And now it'll show us the area for those two rooms, and they're both highlighted on the top. Our quantity and line item update, and we'll do the same thing for base. So we'll grab that perimeter, drop it, our line item updates, and we'll click OK. We'll go back to our takeoff. We'll select room 2B, and we'll give 2B carpet. So we'll search for carpet, find the one we want to use. It'll bring up 2B, show us where we're taking off. We can see it's in square yards. Our area is in square feet. So we'll click on the unit of measure, change it to square yards, and the program will do the math for us. We'll drag and drop it, and click OK. So these line items are going into the estimate view that you're seeing, and we could filter and find them very easily, just like we did before. So now we're going to bring in a model. The program views everything through Navisworks. All of the takeoff has been written outside of it, but any program that you can, or any model you can get to Navisworks can be opened within the program. So now we're going to create a filter based on what the model is telling us about itself. We'll use layer and type. Click OK. We'll save this as our model view. So now we can see all the different systems, doors, curtain walls, slabs, sidewalks, that the model has. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select the curtain wall. We'll go back to our estimate. We'll add an assembly. And an assembly is just a grouping of line items. If you're an MC squared user, it's very similar to construction systems. So we'll find curtain wall, open it. just like before, it'll give us a picture of what we're taking off. And the line items below, the line update based on how you answer the questions at the top. So the answers, or the questions at the top, are the variables that the line items beneath need. So we'll drag our area over, and it'll go to our specialty line item for our curtain wall based on how we answered the curtain wall option. If we go back to that option, move it to 2, the quantity will move to our high end instead of our specialty. And we'll click OK. So now we'll go over our line items, go back to Uniformat Level 2. We will remove the uniformat and we'll go by source. So now we can see there's line items that don't have a value. We know that those are from Estimator because we just performed that takeoff. We will add the work breakdown structure to them. And now we will go back to our filter tree. And we can see that everything is updated. So now we'll bring back our Uniformat Level 1 and Level 2. And we'll sort by them first, and then our last folder will be source. So we'll start with our interiors. We can see that one ceramic tile came from Profiler and one came from Estimator. We can see that it's been updated and say that we don't want that line item anymore. The second one we'll go to our shell, our exterior enclosure. We've updated our curtain wall in Estimator. We can see that we have quantities from it. So we'll go to Profiler, say we don't need the curtain wall here anymore. We can get rid of it, and then overall we would still have curtain wall, and we'd be using the exterior skin of the precast we had from our Profiler model. So for our final video of the day, we're going to go through and now we're going to compare model iterations so that you can see what would happen if you had a model update. You'll be able to compare not only what has changed, what's been deleted, and what's been added, but instead of just seeing that, you'll also see the cost impact for those as well. We will also then go from comparing model iterations to comparing estimates. So here we are back in our model. We'll click on the update file. We'll find the model that we want to compare it to. The program will say you're attempting to open another version. Do you want to save the current estimate before you update it based on the new quantities? We'll say yes. We'll go in and save our estimate. It'll compile the differences for us. Here we're in the modified section. You can see it in just what has been modified, show the affected, or show all. And then it'll come down to, for example, our curtain wall in the previous was an old quantity of 2,700 square feet. We're now at 2,900, and we've gone up $16,000. So if we scroll down, we can see we had a reduction of quantity in our over excavation, so we've saved money. Moisture barrier for our slab, it's gone down in size, so we've saved. Our cost has gone down there as well. Here's the deleted items. These line items will be deleted from our estimate because the model components that they were tied to no longer exist. And we can also see the added components from our previous iteration, so we can know what to add. We want to add cost to. And then you do not have to accept all the changes. If you didn't want to say accept the curtain wall change for your updated estimate, you could just unhook it and that cost update wouldn't occur. So now, brings us into our new model and we can start to perform takeoff. And we can look at it through the same filter of our model view as before. Now we'll move to estimate comparison. We will go find another estimate that we have created in Estimator. We'll load it in. We'll be able to compare our direct cost for the two. You can load as many estimates as you would like. We don't recommend more than 4. It starts to get a little busy. You can look at your indirects. You can see is the same percentage and the cost for each indirect as well. Then you can sort it by work breakdown structure. So we'll go to unit format level 2. We can see our change for B10, see the change for C10, and our change for D20. So now we've moved to a detailed comparison. The few changes we made weren't quite large enough for the program, for the color sorting to pick up on and be clear for representation purposes, so I made a couple additional changes. So now what we'll do is we will get rid of the columns we don't want. A way that I like to filter it is to bring in unit format level 1. So now you can see your changes based on your level 1 of unit format breakdown. We can see that there we have a 5% change, a 50% change, and a 9% change. We can click on View Details, and this will show you a line item by line item comparison of every line item in both estimates. So we'll clean this up a little bit. We can see that here we both added quantity, a little over 100,000 square feet, and our unit cost has also gone up. So we've had a 103% increase from one estimate to the next. So that could be something we need to go back and investigate. We could go change our estimate, update those quantities. Maybe we made a mistake and it would update here as well. Or maybe we've added that much material and everything's okay. Here we can see that we didn't update any quantities. We just had a unit price update, and that compared to our previous iteration, we had an increase. Then finally, we'll look at services. Shell. We'll scroll down, and we'll see here that we've added $1.50 per square foot, and it's given us a change of $84,000. So let's recap. What did we do? We created our schematic model in Destini Profiler. We updated those quantities in Estimator. We tracked those updates so that we could see which quantities we are still using our conceptual quantities and lines from, and where we had updated those based off of more detailed information we'd received later in the process. And then we compared back to previous iterations of our estimate. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Josh. Yes, I did have a couple questions here. The first one was, if we're modeling in Revit, can we bring the model into this program?
Yes, you can import from Revit into Destini Profiler. You will, if you were already modeling in the schematic phase, it may be a tad better, or it may be better to use Estimator just so that you could track those iteration changes as you progressed in your model. But yes, it can be done in Profiler.
Okay, great. The next question I had was, where are the historical costs coming from?
So the historical costs will come from a database. The program will ship with 3. It will have a database for Estimator, a database for Profiler, and then what we call our advanced logic database. That will have approximately 1,100 line items in it running on formulas so that you can see what the program is capable of. The end goal, if you choose to go with the program, will always be to help you build a database for yourself. So we want to take, wherever your information is currently stored, whether it's MC Squared, Timberline, Excel, and move that information over for you so that you can have it, and once we were to come start training or help you through that implementation process, your data would already be moved and you'd be seeing information the way you're used to seeing it.
Sounds good. The next question I had is an update to a line item in an estimate written back to the master database as a new cost basis for that item?
No. So Estimator is designed to work on the premise that you want to have a standard cost for things in a database and then change them as you need to on an estimate by estimate comparison. So you would have to go back and update the database outside of creating an estimate. It's not automatically going to push back and update that unit cost. The answer is a tad different for Profiler. And Profiler, you do have the option to push that unit cost back to the database. However, you have to go through and click on that individual line item, say I want to update the database based on this cost. A window will pop up and alert you that you are not just changing it for your current estimate, that you are going to change the database and ask you if you'd like to proceed.
Excellent. Okay. What happens if I don't have a PDF to import in the beginning?
Okay, so if you don't have a PDF in the beginning, it's not a problem at all. You could create your model freehand, so you could trace out any shape you would like, or there is a wizard within the program, and the wizard would ask you, what shape is your building, give you a couple standard shapes, ask you how tall it is, and ask the dimensions, and then just create a building for you.
Perfect. Perfect. That sounds good. Do I have to import the site from Google Earth?
No, that is not a required step. That is just a step that is there if you would like to have that information.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Josh, that's all the questions that we have today. We really appreciate the presentation, very informative. In a moment, our Hangout survey will pop up. If you'll complete the survey, you'll be entered to win a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. The survey will take only a couple seconds to complete. We hope you found this Hangout informative and helped your business. We look forward to seeing you on our next Hangout. Thanks again for joining us.